Hey guys, Nick here with Gear Nut. On, off, 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 off. Oh my gosh, that's just too much fun. So, big shout out and thank you to Olight for sending down the H16 Wave. Look at this thing. Like 2 to 6 inches. 2 to 6 inches out, you can just swipe and have yourself a good time. Your kids are going to freaking think it's the best thing ever. They're going to call it magic. Oh gosh, it is just a fun headlamp. This thing is sweet. So, and if you don't like the wave feature, you can turn it off. I mean, but honestly, if you're thinking about considering this headlamp, you're pretty much going to buy it for the wave feature. You know, if you have really dirty hands, like you're cleaning game, or you know, you're doing some maintenance, or you're doing some weekend mechanics, you know, you're climbing around underneath the car, this is a fantastic headlamp for that. You know, I mean, that hands-free on and off, I mean, if you're going from your toolbox to under the vehicle or the engine bay or engine compartment and you're looking in a dark place, this is a great light for that because you can turn it on and off without even touching it. So you're not going to get grease, oil, blood, fish scales, fish slime, anything like that in your headband and permanently stink up this little headlight. So, I'm not a big headlamp kind of guy. I like those side emitter flashlights that you can use as a headlamp because they're really versatile, but I absolutely freaking love this H16 Wave. This thing is cool. There's a couple downsides. You cannot change your battery. So you will not be able to change your battery. This is a proprietary battery. It's fixed. You're never going to change it. You're going to have to live with that. It's going to have to get recharged and set down. And it takes 3.5 hours to recharge this battery. So, I mean, if that's a downside for you, then maybe you should pick something else. But for me, I absolutely love this thing. You know, about 4 hours to charge this thing, it's not a big deal. And the run times I can get out of this, it makes it a fantastic option. The other thing that's a downside is going to be the waterproofing. This is only IPX4 waterproofing. You know, the covers and port covers and things like that over this micro USB recharge port, they're not the greatest. You know, I mean, you're going to get some dust in there eventually. You're going to get some water in there eventually if you're not careful with it. So you definitely have to be careful. But the perks of this headlamp are amazing. I mean, they are amazing. You know, to cycle through the light outputs, you have to push this blue button down here. And the blue button, it does glow when your wave feature is on. So if you want to turn that off, you just turn it on and press and hold while it's on, and it blinks, the wave feature is off. So one thing to consider if you're thinking about buying this is if you want to cycle through the modes or just use the button to turn it on and off, you're going to have to do this. When you first turn it on, it's going to turn on in its high setting. Now let's go over some of these light outputs while we're doing this and try to maximize our time here. Because the high is going to start out at 500 lumens for the first 5 minutes. After that first 5 minutes, it's going to downgrade to 350 lumens. And it's going to run for about an hour and 20 minutes before you need to recharge it. Now if you tap it again, it doesn't turn off. If you press and hold, it just turns on the wave feature. So you're going to turn it on and tap and have to cycle through every single setting before it turns off. Which is not a big deal because there's only 3 settings, but it is something to consider if you're thinking about buying this. The next one that you see right now is going to be medium. That's 100 lumens for 9 hours and 30 minutes. This is where I leave the headlamp. I constantly find myself using the medium setting. It is a fantastic setting, especially when you pair it with the 45-degree feature, because you can angle this light exactly where you need to see. So, which is pretty cool. The last one, and tap it again, it's going to go into low, 5 lumens for 160 hours. if you're in a grid down power outage situation, or maybe you're in your cabin and you don't have power out there and you want a little night light, this 5 lumens is perfect for that. It is great. If you're thinking about doing some night reading in your tent, or you're doing some night reading next to your partner, or you're working on a little project and you don't want to disturb people, this is a great little headlamp for that, you know? There's people that do that. I am one of those people that does that. I constantly am looking at user manuals, brochures, and things like that, and I don't want to disturb my wife. So that's what I do. And one more tap turns it off. So you do have to actually cycle through all the settings to turn it off. If you want to turn on your wave feature, it's as simple as turning it on, pressing and holding the button, and the wave feature's on. Now, one thing about the wave feature, it doesn't recognize your hand as a hand. And we're going to use a screwdriver as another extension. Because if you swipe it back and forth fast enough, maybe, maybe not, maybe. Come on, you were doing it earlier. There we go. But if you swipe a stick, if you get too close to someone, you know, 2 to 6 inches, it works better with your hand. But if you do anything like that, if anything comes in front of that, if you're working with cables or anything and something swings in front of your face, it has the opportunity to turn on and off your light. You can turn that function off and have a constant headlight, but you're going to have to use this button up front, which kind of takes away from the pizzazz or the features of this headlamp. So, but it's pretty cool. It does tilt up here 45 degrees. If you were going to tilt this thing, I'm going to give you a little word of caution. This aluminum heat sink back here gets extremely hot on high. So if you don't want to take and get into, see, look, accidental activation. You don't want to get into the habit of putting your finger up here and just pressing down. Get into the habit of using these little thumb tabs up here in the corners, right here. See those little tabs? Get in the habit of using those because they don't get as hot, and it's going to save you from touching something that's extremely warm. You're welcome. All right, so I love this headlamp. The material that they've chose to use for the strap is really stretchy. It's super soft. It wicks away moisture. It's got reflective little things on here. The blue on here for the Olight is beautiful. It is very, very comfortable. So if you're wondering if this thing is light, yes, it's light. If you're wondering if it's comfortable, yes, it's extremely comfortable. It's adjustable, it's comfortable, it's light. Accidental activation. So that's the downside of the Wave. I mean, if you're going to throw this in your pack, you know, just turn it on, turn that Wave feature off, cycle through all the settings and turn it off. But if something does hit this button, it's going to turn on you. I mean, there's nothing around that. So maybe get a hard carrying case and put a little hard carrying case, or put your light inside of a hard carrying case, and that'll take care of that problem. But for the most part, I absolutely love this H16 Wave. It's definitely going to stick around. It's definitely one of the most useful headlamps that I've put my hands on, and the Wave feature is the key reason I would buy this. You know, I don't have to touch it to turn it on and off, but I do have to touch it to cycle between the modes or change settings. But for the Wave feature, this is what you want. It's got 2 of these little optical lenses. It's got a spot lens, and it's got a flood lens. You cannot turn on one and have the other one off. They're both going to be on. They're both going to be off. You don't have a choice on that, which is okay. It's not a big deal. You know, I think that the run times you get are perfect. I wouldn't change that. And the LEDs that are back in here, you got 2 of them. They're going to be Cree XP-G3 CW LEDs. So this is a cool white light. It's not a neutral white. It's not a high color rendering indexing light. This is a cool white light. Now, with that being said, let's turn it down a little bit. With that being said, it does give you a very usable light. It's not a blue hue. It's not like an orange greenish hue. It's a cool white. You know, it's a very nice balanced light. I actually like it. You know, and I'm becoming a little bit of an LED snob on your ability to tell colors. You know, I'm partially colorblind, so that's a big deal to me, but it might not be for you. So, but if you're thinking about buying one of these, I would highly recommend it. The battery bank back here, I want to call this a battery bank, not really a pack, but a battery bank, because that's what it reminds me of. But it's micro USB rechargeable, so you can plug it in. It takes 3.5 hours to charge it up from 0. It does have an audible beep at 10% battery or less. So once this thing hits 10% or less, it's going to start beeping at you. To shut it off, you just press that blue button. If you want to check your battery meter, this is where it's very impressive. You press your blue button, it shows you the level on your battery meter. You know, it's got 4 dots for full. As soon as you start dropping dots, you start dropping power. But it's very, very legible. You can see this under studio lights. You can see this in broad daylight. They're very bright. The color of them is totally awesome. I love it. Blue's one of my favorite colors, so maybe I'm biased. But anyhow, I really like this headlamp. They do give you it's like a 36-inch USB to micro USB recharging cord. So they give you everything you need to use this headlamp. It's got a 2-year warranty, so if you have a problem, just contact Olight, and I'm pretty sure that they'll take care of you. And this thing is 1 meter impact resistant, so it's a good little headlamp. You know, it's kind of splash proof, it's kind of a light rain proof, but it's not waterproof. You know, it's not something you can submerge. I definitely would not recommend that. The polymer clips they have right here are very durable. It feels like that self-healing magic plastic, you know? It's very durable, it's very dense, it's very strong, and it feels like if you gouge it or you do something to it, it's gonna heal itself, you know? It's definitely tough. So this headlamp is very comfortable. This headlamp is very light, and I love it. It's gonna stick around. I'm gonna use it, and I tell you what, it's one of the most useful headlamps that I've seen. And I'm not a big headlamp guy, you know. I'm not a big headlamp guy. I use flashlights, and there's a lot of flashlight mounts for turning a flashlight into a headlamp, and I kind of lean that way. But if I was in the store and I needed a headlamp that was rechargeable and the waterproofing didn't matter and the ability to change out the battery in it didn't matter, then yes, I would highly recommend getting one of these. And knowing now about this headlamp, the H16 Wave, I would definitely recommend getting one. You know, this is going to help me out hunting, this is going to help me out fishing, this is going to help me out with all my home improvement projects, under sinks, under the house, in the crawl space. I mean, I've got a lot of projects to do around the house, and you know, this is definitely going to be a headlamp that I consider and that I use. So, hope you enjoyed the video. If you guys have any questions, feel free to comment. And Olight, thanks for being the sponsor of this video. Absolutely love this headlamp. You guys are blowing me away. And the wave feature is just amazing. Amazing. It is just awesome. So if you guys are thinking about picking one of these up and you want to help support the channel, use the link in the description box below. That'll take you over to the Olight store where you guys can help support the channel and buy from them. If not, I understand. If you don't like this video, give it a thumbs down button if you're a vampire that hates life. Let's see how many vampires are out there. So that's what I got. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will check you guys later.